Hello YouTube, this is Mahadeva the Thunder Wizard, and today I'm going to share with you what has been revealed to me about the nature of 3D space-time. And I think you'll find this very interesting, and I think it will explain a lot of things about how we experience our three-dimensional lives. So, for extraterrestrials, time does not flow like it does for us. It's not a fixed thing that flows in any direction. Time for extraterrestrials is a fluid probability state. I misspelled probability on the thumbnail there. I must make sure to chastise myself accordingly. But for those of us in 3D, we don't move forward through time. Time actually flows through us backward while we are looking behind us. Once you understand this concept, you'll see it explains pretty much everything. So let's first talk about the nature of time for our higher dimensional friends. And we'll see, when we get to this 5D state, I believe that it's going to be a combination of the way we experience 3D space-time now and how higher dimensional beings experience time as a probability state. I think it'll be a mixture of the two. But first, let's talk about what time is like for higher dimensional beings. So from their perspective, they are constantly in the now, in the right now. They don't live in the past, they don't live in the future. If they choose to, like if we just talk about the fifth dimension. By the way, I don't mention the fourth dimension. I know a lot of people talk about 3D, 4D, 5D. But if we're actually talking about dimensions, like according to quantum physics, we're already in the fourth dimension. It's called time. So to say that we're going to move from 3D to 4D is meaningless unless you're talking about it in the way most people kind of do, because the truth is, most of the people on YouTube, channeling aliens and ETs, and even, the majority of people talking about shifting to 5D, they really haven't done their research in terms of quantum physics and dimensions. Because the fourth dimension, we're already here. We're already experiencing it. So in the fifth dimension, time doesn't flow. For anybody in the fifth dimension, you can have access. If we're just talking about time, you can have access to any time period. You not only have access to any time period, you have access to any place. So the truth is, in the fourth dimension, we have to figure out where somebody is at any given point in time. So it's not just time, it's also location. Because if you move to another location, you'll also be in another point in time. So in the third dimension, whenever you are in one place, a location, you're also in one point in time. So you can't be two places at once, you can't be in two times at once. You have to be in one place at one time. It's the way it works. That's what makes three-dimensional reality so specific. But when you're in the fifth dimension, you can be in any time you want. You want to go back to 1935, you can. If you want to be in multiple places on June 12th, 1945, you can do that. You can also be in one place and experience multiple different times. So you can be standing there in Times Square at 1900, 1850, 2020. So these are the kinds of things that you can do in the fifth dimension. So in the fifth dimension, time is a probability state. So when you're in the fifth dimension, what you experience is that you are at one with yourself in this constant experience of the right now. And you have before you an infinite number of probability states that you can experience. You can choose, what probability state you want to be in. So one of the ways to look at being in the third dimension is attachment. So to be in the fifth dimension means you're not attached to anything. You're not emotionally attached to any experience or any anything that happens. That doesn't mean that you don't have emotions about it. You might have a lot of emotional experience about it, but you're not attached to it. So somebody might say the one thing that keeps us in 3D space-time is our emotional attachment to things. So let me now define what that means. If you hear me say emotional attachment, more than likely you are thinking about being positively attached, like you want something. So when I say feeling attached to something, you think, oh, well, that's I want that thing, so I can't want anything because then I won't be attached. But this will make a lot more sense as we talk about what time is like in 3D space-time and how that affects the way that we age and the way that we maintain our health, our emotional, physical health. You can hate something, and that hate attaches you to it. So emotional attachment doesn't just mean I love that thing, I like that thing, oh, I'm not supposed to like sex, I'm not supposed to like money, I'm not supposed to like fame, oh, I won't be attached to those good things. But it also means you can't hold on to self-righteousness because that's attachment. You can't hold on to anger because anger attaches you. To whatever it is you're angry at, you are energetically attached. And it literally pulls the energy from you. This is what karma is all about. When you reincarnate, you choose to reincarnate. You choose to reincarnate because there are karmas that you want to burn through. And so what's going to happen is those painful things are attachments. Your anger, your fear, your resentment, your insecurities. So for those of you complaining about having to reincarnate, of course, that's not how it works. You choose to reincarnate. But you choose to reincarnate because you're energetically imbalanced and you want to balance things out. Let me give you an example of karma you probably haven't thought of before. Most people, when they think of karma, they think of something negative. And karma isn't positive or negative. Karma is simply the result of your actions. That's it. So if you take action based on your soul, there will be no lingering energetic attachment. So therefore, there's nothing to balance. But if you operate from something outside of your soul, you're fearful, you're desperate, you're angry, you're impulsive, you're manipulative, whatever. Then that's going to attach you to that energetically, and then that energetic attachment pulls your energy out of you. So this is why why people who commit murder, people who are thieves, they choose to come back, because when they get out of this life, they realize their energy's all warped, and they're attached to those things, to those people that they harmed. So I'm going to give you an example of perhaps somebody who was like Hitler, for example. Let's take Hitler, for example. We all know Hitler is responsible for perhaps the death of millions of people unjustly. Well, he's attached to that. Those negative actions that he took or authorized or was in any way responsible for, he is attached to that. And so what would happen is, if after he leaves his body, because all people, no matter how horrible, when they leave their body, they become these divine light beings again. As a divine light being, he's going to go, wow, that's a lot of energetic attachment that I need to fix if I want to move forward. So what he might do is he might choose to come back as a healer. And he might be the most successful spiritual healer the world has ever seen. Now, the way that the universe has compassion is that if he were reborn full of guilt, then the guilt itself would attach him, and then it would cause him more problems. So his memory is wiped clean in his human body. He shows up here, and all he knows is he has this deep desire to heal people. He wants to become a healer. And so he ends up healing thousands or teaching people healing practices, which ends up healing millions of people. And what he doesn't realize is, while people are going, oh man, he's such a beautiful healer, this person, such a spiritual person. And while he gets to take pleasure and feel good every time he heals somebody, he feels good about it. What he doesn't realize is those are people that he killed or injured in previous lives. And so he's balancing it out. Those people seek him out so that they can get healing from him. And then the energy is balanced out. So this is all your negative karma. You are responsible for your negative karma. And you're going to say, you're victim blaming me. I can't help it. I was born in this prison planet and everything happened. No. You acted from your ignorance and your limitation in a previous life. You lost sight of your, as we all do, this is what happens in 3D. You lost sight of your infinite divine nature, and you acted out of fear or some kind of belief that you weren't going to be taken care of, whether that was, a codependent fixing everybody, or whether that was a narcissistic, psychopathic, hurting people. It all comes from the same place. And you've now come back into this life, and now you've got some negative things you have to work. You have to balance it. And so the fastest way to get through all of that is to release yourself from all of your attachments. So now we get to time. Let's talk about time. So the way that my higher dimensional friends explained time to me, and it's taken me, over 6 months meditating on what they showed me before I'm ready to talk about it now. But what they said is that time does not flow from past to future, and you're not like walking through time. That's not how it works. In the third dimension, you are in imagine a three-dimensional box. And in that three-dimensional box, you are on a wheel that spins. So imagine that like you're on a beach ball, and every time you walk forward, there's some kind of roller mechanism underneath the ball. So the ball is always moving underneath you. And the way that it's set up is that every action you take is you walking on this, on this ball in one place. Imagine you're stuck in one place walking on top of a ball. And what ends up happening is that time is flowing into you. And so you experience yourself moving through time, when in reality you're not going anywhere. you're walking around in a three-dimensional space thinking you're moving forward in time, but you're just on this wheel. And so time flows through you. So I'm going to give you a whole picture of it, but first let me tell you this. So imagine what you experience is that as time hits you, you have the experience of some kind of event happening. You're sitting in a chair, you're driving your car, you're surfing, you're making love to your wife. There's an event going on that you experience as something happening in time. And then, as these events move through you, they're instantaneously manifested, like right in front of you, and then they move through you. As these events move through you, then you have some kind of a reaction and interaction with that event. So if you operate from anything other than your soul, then what ends up happening is that as that piece of time hits you and moves through you, you experience it. But if you operate from anything other than your soul, a piece of your energy gets attached to that moment. That moment then flows through you and goes behind you. So your energy becomes stretched. You see that? Because now that moment is in the past. It has moved past you and it's continuing to move past you. And your energy is continuing to get stretched back further and further and further into the past. So you can imagine the more of you that gets attached to every, any moment that happens, that's how much of your energy is getting pulled. And it stretches you. And you have the experience of feeling older, looking older. It's a strain on your energy. You're losing energy because that attachment, as that experience is continuing to move past you, behind you, and you're staying attached to it. So imagine, if you're looking at it in terms of length, let's say you're standing here and time comes and it moves through you, you get attached, it goes behind you, and it keeps moving and moving and moving. Let's move it over here. Time keeps moving this way. You can see it's going to, like a rubber band, it's going to keep pulling you and pulling you and, pulling you towards that. This is why people focus on the past, because their energy's trapped there. You had an expectation. So let me give you myself, for example. When I was in my 20s, as you know, I graduated from college and I started a theater company and I acted in my theater company and I did a little bit of movies and a little bit of television, and I wanted to be the next Brad Pitt, and as you know, that didn't happen. As it turns out, it's very clear in my chart that nothing like that. If I had known, if somebody had gone back in time and said, here's your chart, dude, you're not going to be a famous actor. If you want to do it for fun, go ahead, but you're not going to get any fame out of it. I don't know if I would have done anything differently or not. But for years, I got really attached to that. I was very upset about not making it. So that all of that energy was continuing to pull on me, and I keep thinking about it. I'd go, I might have a dream about it, or I'd wake up and I'd be upset and angry and resentful over, whatever didn't happen the way I wanted it to happen. So of course I've worked through all that and I've let that go to the best of my ability, and I don't think about it anymore. But relationships, you're with somebody and you fall in love and they hurt you, they disappoint you in some way, and you hang on to the anger, you hang on to the pain, you hang on to the trauma as that event keeps going. So I keep doing this backwards. As that event continues to go behind you, right, your energy is getting pulled further and further and further. And this is why people who are resentful are no fun to be around, why they're toxic. Because it's literally draining their energy right out of them. So in order to be in the fifth dimension, you guys want to move to the fifth dimension. I want to move to the fifth dimension. You ask, what are some of the ways that we can do that? This is why I keep telling you guys, you have to work on your anger, your fear, your resentments. You have to, and I've been doing this, I've been doing exactly what I said. I've been in therapy for, close to 30 years. I've been doing 12-step work for 40 years. I've been meditating. I work on this stuff every single day of my life. And so you need to do the same. You want to move to 5D? You have to get honest. Are you angry? Are you resentful? Are you fearful? Do you lack trust? Are you still thinking about what somebody's done to you? This happens to me. I mean, sometimes I'll catch myself walking around the house rehearsing what I should have said to somebody 10 years ago. That kind of stuff. Of course, now things are a lot different. Now I know what I know. The moment that happens, I catch myself and I apologize first to myself. I go, I'm sorry, Mike, that you had to listen to that. And I apologize to any light beings, because I know that my guides are constantly with me in all of my thoughts, and I apologize to them. I'm sorry that you had to listen to that. And then I immediately focus my energy on the right here and the right now, and the things that make me happy and the things I'm looking forward to doing. I focus on the positive. But you can't just deny. You can't just walk away. You can't just turn your resentments off. You have to work through them. So this is why, look, I can remember being 6 years old, I think, and there was a kid that I was playing with. Actually, I wasn't playing with him. There was a kid on the school ground, and anyway, long story short is that he was a very just angry little kid, and I had this flash, and I saw him turn into this angry old man, and I said, I could see where he's going to end up, where he was going to end up in 40 years. It's just going to be this, middle-aged, angry, when I was a kid, those old people walking around that look so old. He's going to be one of those really badly. And it's because I could tell that he was angry, and he held on to that, and he operated from that, even as a little kid. So long story short is you got to drop the victim mentality that attaches you. You got to work through your trauma. You can't do it alone. You've got to have somebody, counselor, mentor, a group of people. You got to have somebody that you can go to help you work through your past. Otherwise, you're going to be attached to that, because in higher dimensions, if you want to go to 5D, you're going to have to teach yourself how not to be attached while still being honest. This is the hard part. While still being authentic and honest with your feelings. You'll have to learn how to have those in the moment and not be attached to them. So what else did I want to say about that? So the other thing, now we got to bring the rest of it in. The other thing that I learned is that we are stationary. We're like on a treadmill, walking, we believe that we're walking forward. And as we're going forward, time is hitting us and going through us. But here's the thing, we are looking backwards. So imagine you're in the back seat of a car. I remember that when I was a kid. I don't know if they still, I'm sure they still make that. But I remember being a kid and being put in the back seat, and the seat is looking out the back window. And so as we're driving, I'm seeing everywhere that we're just, that we're passing. So the entire time I'm looking at everywhere we've just been. And that's what's happening. That 3D is set up in such a way where as time hits you, you experience it, and then you watch it go away. And so the only thing you can see is the past. That's why you can't see into the future. There's two reasons why you can't see into the future. One is the future hasn't happened yet. So the present moment is created every nanosecond. And your experience of the present is you're actually remembering what just happened like a nanosecond ago. So it's very hard to be in the present moment. But the other thing that I'm learning, as I'm continuing to share with you this, again, it's good to watch what I'm doing and put things together and spend time, really listening to these things, because it can get kind of confusing. But where is it? It's my favorite picture lately. Come on, where are you? Did I pass it? I had to have passed it. Let's see, where is it? I'm a little loopy because I just went surfing. So I'm always loopy after surfing. Oh, there it is. So now we can bring in what we've been talking about. So remember what I told you about chakras. So you see the little individual meditating there, the shadow, and he's got his chakras all lit up. And the chakras are associated with planets. We're not going to talk about that. But what I have learned is that the chakras are projection points. They project your reality. Now, your reality is created based on your projection. Now, since you're looking in the past, you're looking out the back window of the bus, you're not aware that your chakras are facing forward and they're actually projecting a reality that you then move through. So as you're looking out the back of the bus, the reality moment that is just passing you, that you think that has come toward you and you're watching it go away. What you don't realize is that you just projected that moment in front of you, and then it passed through you, you experienced it. So you project your reality before you experience it, but you can't see what you're projecting. Because if you could see what you were projecting, then the whole point of 3D would be meaningless. You would stop and you wouldn't do it anymore. You'd only project. You'd figure out immediately how to project what you wanted, and you'd project what you want, and you wouldn't learn anything. And you've come here to learn. So you're sitting in the back of the bus looking out the back window. Your chakras are there, which are being shined through by your soul. Your kundalini is, everything. Your thoughts, what you focus on, what you take actions on. Those things all have everything to do with your projection. But really what it is your expectations. This is why first thing you got to do is drop the victim mentality, because victim mentality is an expectation. I can remember people in my life who would, we talk about dating, right? Now, I've never been wealthy. In fact, up until, probably 6 or 7 years ago, I was dirt poor. I always made it through life, but I was dirt poor. And I had no shortage of happy relationships and beautiful women. And I can remember one person in particular would say, would be upset about that, would be jealous that I would be able to find relationships. And he would say, women only care about how much money you have, and blah, blah, blah. And I go, that's just not true. Sure, there are plenty of gold diggers out there, but there's no shortage of really wonderful women who just want to be with somebody that's happy and wants to love them and be with them. There's no shortage of them. No, it doesn't work like that. You got to be rich and you got to have blah, blah, blah. And so that was that person's expectation. So based on that expectation, which is his reaction to his past, which again, he's attached to it. He had bad experiences with his mother, and then of course with women later. So he became attached, he became angry, he became bitter. That attached him to those experiences, and that became his programming. That became his expectation, and so it just goes on autopilot. His expectation is that women are never going to want to be with him. He projects that in front of him, which then flows through him, and then he watches it go past. He says, you see, that woman didn't want me. That woman just wanted me for my money. That woman rejected me. But what he doesn't see is that, he's facing the opposite way, and his chakras are projecting. They're projectors projecting onto the screen of 3D reality that then moves through him. So I'll give you an example. Just today, I've been sitting with all this and sort of putting all this together. Just today, I was out surfing this morning, and I took a wave, and I don't know what happened, but I got back on my board, and I felt like I had strained some muscles here on my ribs. It wasn't horrible, but it was like, God, do I want to go in? And I said, you know what? I'm having too much fun, and I just don't want to be in pain. So for a brief second, because I didn't want to get smashed in the head by a wave as I was sitting there, I closed my eyes and I imagined my chakras, and then I imagined my chakras projecting onto my body complete health, and everything moving together, and energy coming from everywhere, and healing my body. And I did that literally for probably like 2 or 3 seconds, and I opened my eyes, and then I had to paddle around, and it still hurt a little bit. And then probably 5 minutes later I went, holy crap, that pain's completely gone. And it's still gone. And I went, this works. So it's just that simple. What your expectations are, if you're programmed a certain way, then you can take control of what you project. And this is where meditation comes in, and opening the pineal gland and all that other stuff, which we still have to talk about in other videos. But I just want you to understand. So you're sitting in the back of a bus, and you're looking out the back of the bus. Your chakras are projecting your expectations, your programming, your conscious intentions, your unconscious intentions onto a screen that you experience as being behind you, like this. Let's say this is the screen. You project it on there, and then as soon as it's projected on there, it passes through you. You have an experience of it, and then you watch it as it fades into the past. And if you live passively, that's what's going to happen. You're just going to sit in the back of the bus the whole time, looking out the back window, and life will just be happening to you. And you'll wonder, what is my destiny? And you'll pray out the back of the bus to God, God, show me what my purpose is. And you don't realize that you are creating everything that's happening to you. You're creating every single piece of anything. Grain of sand, your shoes, your physical body, everything is continuously recreated as you project it onto this screen of the right now that's right behind you, and then passes through you. Okay, so that's a lot to absorb. I recommend go back and listen to this again, listen to numerous things over and over again, and try that. See if it works for you. If you find yourself experiencing something that you don't like, that is damaging to you, whatever it is, you don't have enough money, you don't have love, you don't have the right job, I don't care what it is. And, go into meditation, close your eyes, and imagine your chakras. You don't have to try and focus behind you. That's just a way to think about it. I don't want you to get all bent out. You can try it if you want. I'm not doing that. What I close my eyes and I imagine that my chakras are projecting what is best for me and best for my soul, and I really let myself enjoy that, and I project that. And then I stop and I go through my day. Because I know, I've learned this a long time ago. I learned this probably 10 years ago. I learned that if I became aware of something bothering me, something in my life was bothering me for some reason. And I did what everybody does, and I would get angry and I would get, annoyed and all those other things. And then I learned to stop doing that. And instead what I would do is I would say, okay, if I'm bothered, it means there's something I want that I'm not experiencing. So I would really try and get, instead of trying, for instance, like, if I hated where I lived or I hated my neighbors or, something like that you feel like you can't do anything about, I would stop and I would go, what is it that I want? And then I would imagine living someplace that at that moment I didn't think I could afford. And I would go, you know what I want? I want this. And I would imagine the perfect place that I want to live. I wouldn't know how I was going to get it. But I knew, once I knew that that's what I really wanted, then I would say, okay, now that's going to happen for me because I have to. I mean, the universe has to give me what I consciously acknowledge that I know that I want. And sure enough, at some point that would change. And when I was with my fiance at the time, may she rest in peace, I was upset about something like that, and I was complaining about it. And then I stopped. She might have even said something about, this is really bothering you or something. And I stopped. And I said, I just have to figure out. She sat there while I went through what I normally do. I said, I just have to figure out what I want. And then I verbalized what I want. I go, yep, that's it. Okay, good. Now I know what I want. And then now I can let it go. And she said, you're not human. I said, what are you talking about? Of course I'm human. She says, you just make these decisions and they happen. It's not possible. What I ended up, completely changing a scenario into a scenario that would have been impossible for me at the moment that I realized it. But I've just gotten so used that life will align to me once I realize what I want, that I just do that without thinking about it. But for her, she's like, you don't understand. For the rest of us, that's not possible. But it is. It's just we need to understand what's going on. And we got to stop pretending. Stop telling yourself everything is love and light when you're full of rage and full of anger and you haven't worked through your resentments and the things you're attached to. You still are, you're feeling entitled and the universe isn't giving you what you want. You want to focus on, all of the pain and everything instead of focusing on the things that make you happy, focusing on the things that you want and allowing yourself to have that. Anyway, I'm sort of repeating myself here. All right, so did I explain it? Time is, in 3D, time is something that you manifest through the projection of your chakras onto the three-dimensional screen, which you essentially is behind you because you're facing backwards. And as you move through time, the screen that you've just manifested based on your expectations of what will happen, based on your programming and or your conscious intention, that then flows through you. You experience it as the right now, and you do whatever you do in that moment, and you either become attached to it or you let it flow through you. And to the extent that you're attached to it, it flows behind you, and then it stretches you into the past if you're attached to it. If you're not attached to it, if you operate from freedom, from love, from infinity, from your soul, then it's an experience that you have that then flows through you and you're no longer attached to it. And you might even forget about it. This is why you don't remember most of the things that happen, because you're not attached to them. We only remember, unless you've got some kind of crazy memory gift. This is something else probably. But for the rest of us that don't have that, we don't remember 99% of the things that happen because we're not attached to them. And you can change your reality based on the understanding that your expectations, your focus, and your intentions and where you operate from can create your perfect reality. So if we link that up finally to what we've been talking about, which is this thing. How does this new 5D Earth get created? When you have 1% or more of the human population beginning to project their highest and deepest fantasies from their soul perspective, then that gets projected onto the screen of, space-time matter, and they go through it and they have a different experience. And if it is markedly different from the rest of the people who are still attached, then that's gonna, so if we look at this again, imagine the one on the left being the past and the one on the right being the future being 5D, joy, self-love, unity, happiness, and the past being what attaches you to it, fear, self-hatred, insecurity. Then guess what? You're going to get pulled, stretched into that past, and the pull of that will be so strong, your entire manifestation will go with you. The other way around, the earth wants to go forward. So if you're not attached to the past, if you're not attached to the pain, if you're not attached to your selfishness, if you don't attach to that, then you don't have to worry about it. You will just automatically flow into the new reality that's coming. So it's completely up to you. It's your choice. All right. It's a lot of stuff. I'll move on. If you have a question, please do me a favor, write the word question in all caps, and then write your question, or share a feeling. If you have a feeling, you can share your feelings. Those are the two things I want. Anything else, I'm gonna just go through you. I'm just gonna pass through. Vincent.thunderwizard.com, you can see him there. He's got a book, so go check him out. Book he's just written, and yeah, let's see what else. Poetry from poverty, the background music isn't music. It is me chanting the mantra for 5D. If you want to know what that is, you go and listen to the videos, the Huar breath. So it's the combination of the Hul breath, which is the sound of earth. Whoops. So it's not just music, it's actually the sound of earth shifting to 5D, and if you listen to that and or chant it, that's another tool you can use to shift yourself forward into the new 5D reality. Maria Castro, question, do we choose what we project from our chakras? Yes. Short answer. Is that it? Nothing else? No more questions? All right, so then I'll give you guys some time since there's a delay if you have a question. And let me just do some business here so I can keep the lights on. So as you know, this channel is not about you listening to me talk. If all you're doing, and it still kind of boggles my mind that there are so many people that do just show up and all they do is watch the videos and they do nothing. They don't even do any of the free stuff. That boggles my mind. But the point of this channel is to give you tools that you can use, practical tools that you can, like I had this theory about how the chakras worked, and I went and tried it out today, and lo and behold, oh my gosh, that works. And the thing is, you're not gonna, when you imagine your chakras and you project through them the intention from your soul, it's not like anything different is going to happen because you do this all the time. Time's going to continue to flow through you. So you won't necessarily have this huge like burst of energy. Oh my God, I changed reality, because you didn't change reality. You just intended the next moment, and reality will just continue to do what it does. And so it's a practical tool that I give you that actually changes things. So that's what we do here. The most powerful energy practice on the history of the planet is over here. If you go to thunderwizard.com and click on Warrior 90-Day Lightning Qigong and subscribe, you will get access to the only I mean, you won't find this anywhere else, and it's never been taught. I'm the first person to combine these things. It gives you Qigong, which is prana, life force energy, gets you attached to the power that's around you. There's more power in, a tablespoon of just air than 10, 20 nuclear bombs. There's more power in there than you can possibly imagine. You'll get access to that, be able to feed your body, the organs of this instrument called the human body, your mind, your spirit. We also teach you to do practices where you raise the Kundalini. Kundalini is the consciousness energy that comes from higher dimensions, because you are a higher dimensional being, and that consciousness energy goes up the spinal column, and that's the energy that opens up the projectors, the chakras that project your reality. And then the third energy is the completely unknown, very esoteric energy called the heart mind, the Shin. It is the lightning energy that surrounds the heart and the soul and protects the soul from the rigors of three-dimensional reality. And when you learn how to tap into that and project that energy out, it actually has the power to destroy negativity. This is why the Mao Shan fighters could fight demons with their bare hands, tear them apart. Imagine doing all three of those. This is what we teach here at the Warrior 90-Day Lightning Qigong. Subscribe to that, and all you have to do is just press play and follow the videos as I do them. If you don't like it, unsubscribe. It's the same price that you pay for a bag of weed or a video game or whatever else you do that you really don't need to be spending money on. Give it a try. You got nothing to lose. You don't like it, unsubscribe. Courses.thunderwizard.com. All of my services, the astrology service, the rune service, the courses, I teach you how to do astrology, I teach you how to do runes, I teach you how to figure out what it is you truly want in life, books, everything else you can find there. Interdimensional Revolution is my latest book that you need to get. And to get my books, you go to Michael William Denny. You see my name written right there on the cover there. You go to michaelwilliamdenny.com. You'll see all of my books. Extraterrestrials are coming to Earth. Odin says Jesus was a coward. You need to read that if you want to understand how the deep state has gotten to the place where it is now. The most important book everybody needs to read and practice on a daily basis is The Shamanic Secret Commandment to a Perfect Life. You can either buy that, or if you're too freaking cheap, or you're 10 years old and you live with your mom and you don't have money, then you can listen to me read it on the channel for free. But learn what's in that book and practice it. If you do that, I guarantee you a shift to 5D. And I'm here to tell you that the shift to 5D is, for me, a process, and I am shifting on a daily basis. And of course, that's because I do a lot of interdimensional meditation, which you can find on the channel for free. There's guided interdimensional meditations, as well as the stuff on the Lightning Qigong as well. All right, so I've done all my business. I've given you some time to write some questions if you want. Agent of the Universe, honest feeling. I'm still feeling bliss off and on in my body, and I'm very happy and looking forward to the new reality. Good for you. And you're doing all the work. Well, that's probably why. By the way, we live in a universe of action. What the deep state, which has been around for at least 2,000 years, what the deep state has programmed you to believe is that you can think your way through life. That's why the law of attraction is only partially correct, because it tells you that your thoughts and your emotions attract. And remember, now that you've listened to this, life isn't something where these things exist and they're floating around and you attract them to you magnetically. It doesn't work like that. Your next moment hasn't even been created yet. You create it every time you project based on your unconscious and conscious intentions and all that stuff. So sitting around thinking is a waste of time. Thoughts are a 3D thing. And if you're having a hard time with that, do a lot of meditation. You'll find out thoughts are not something that happen in the moment. Thoughts are reactions to either past memories or life as it's happening to you. You'll have a thought. You'll have an emotion. These are reactions. These are things that are reacting to something that's already happened. That's why your emotions and your thoughts don't create your reality. What creates your reality is your intention based on your soul about what you want, which has nothing to do with what's already happened. See, you're not attached to anything. You're not attached to the past. You're not even attached to the future. You're in the moment, just listening to the desires of your soul. And that is the fastest way, the most powerful way to manifest, which is why that book, The Shamanic Secret Commandment to the Perfect Life, is the most perfect book for you. Master it, and you'll be intuitively doing all the things that we just have been talking about. So good for you, Agent of the Universe. I'm glad you're feeling good. Vincent.thunderwizard.com feeling. I worked on steps 4 and 5 with my sponsor today. So look, these are anonymous programs, so you're not required to be sharing things. I'm talking to everybody else, not to Vincent. But having said that, I will say that the 4th and the 5th step in the 12th step is the hub. Without the 4th and the 5th step, the steps don't function. So I'm glad to see that you did that. So you worked on your step 4 and 5 with your sponsor. You're feeling ornery. Yeah, you're feeling, of course, you're raw. Of course you are. A bunch of old attachments. So imagine those attachments are like super glue. We're talking about that. Resentments attach you to things in the past energetically. They super glue you to those moments in the past, which, by the way, those moments would disappear if we didn't keep remembering them. This is why the Mandela effect is proving that. Our past is changing. It's not just, I was talking about, I made a video about the Black Tom explosion, and I said that didn't happen. And somebody made an interesting comment, but the gist of the comment was that somebody is lying to us about our history, and that's not what a Mandela effect is. A Mandela effect is that the Black Tom event now is something that really did happen. You can prove it. You can excavate the earth and find the archaeological proof that it happened. And yet I can tell you without a doubt that didn't happen in my timeline. It didn't happen. So if something erupts in the past that hasn't happened, and now as a fact it did happen, that means that our memories are changing. The collective unconscious is changing what it remembers about the past based on the things in the present and what's happening in the present. Our mainstream media, our governments are telling us, if you watch the news, what you're being told is that the world is getting more and more violent. There are evil people everywhere, and life is nothing but war and terrorism. And so what ends up happening is that we start to create a past that justifies our present feelings. So we create terrorist acts literally in the fabric of reality of our past that didn't happen. So the things that you're thinking about now that drive you crazy, that cripple you with pain, that happened. It's because you keep reliving them. I'm not judging you. That's what trauma is, reliving traumatic events that you're not able to just let go and let flow through you. You're attached to it and super glues you to it. So of course, Vincent, you just did 4th and a 5th step, which is you've now ripped off the Band-Aid. So it's going to be sore. It'll heal. Now it can finally heal. For the first time, you'll be able to heal on some of those things. Watch what happens. As time goes on, those things that were, those resentments you shared will become less and less and might even completely disappear. And in terms of the fabric of reality, they might actually completely disappear. They won't be part of the past anymore, because the past doesn't exist, except to the point that we're looking out the window, projecting it out. We keep telling the past that happened, but it can go away. And the way that we release the past and eliminate it is when we're no longer attached to it. You're going to have to do the work. Vincent's doing the work, and however you do it is however you're going to do it. Listen, you're going to have to do the work now in your physical body, or you're going to have to do it after you die, and that's what the whole life review is. It's you and your guides looking at the things you're still attached to, and that's why you and your guides decide you're going to come back. And it makes a lot of sense now when people are talking about the old 3D. There are people who are going to be incarnated into that old 3D, and it makes sense, because if they continue to have deeply attached, unresolved issues based on things, they're going to have to go to a very dense place so they can re-stimulate those old traumas and then finally let them go. So I sort of like detention. Everybody's moving on. We're graduating. We're graduating to 5D. The human race and the earth has finally made it, and they're going to graduate to 5D. And those people who want to stay in the pain and the fear and the resentment and the negativity, they're going to have to, stay in detention for a while. I guess that's one way to look at it. Okay. All right, what else? Atham Animist, honest feeling. After doing the wood set, thank you, you're welcome, I felt anxiety come up. I then felt a calm happiness and lightness. So in case you want to know what he's talking about, you can go to Mao Shan. Now, when you say wood set, do you mean the Mao Shan wood set spirit fighting, or do you mean the wood posture? Either one. The wood posture, the wood standing posture is found in the Warrior 90-Day Lightning Qigong. So you guys can experience that if you want. If you want to actually do the wood shamanic movement set, which looks like Kung Fu, but it's actually a shamanic form that taps you into the ether element, you can go to maoshan.underwizard.com. Okay. The spirit fight. I didn't know that you did that. I wasn't aware that you purchased that. Well, I'm glad you did. But good, yeah. All right. Yeah, the wood set is ether. So ether is the highest energy. Of the 5 elements, so you have wood, metal, fire, water, earth. It's done in that specific order because it does that. It releases the negativity within each of those elements. So wood is... there's a positive and negative. The wood is the ether, and on the positive is what you described. It's a very open, very happy, sort of just beautifully sort of floating energy feeling. That's the positive. The negative side of the wood is resentment. Not anger, but resentment. And so by doing the wood, you actually release resentments. Just... I think kind of like you said. Did you say that? Yeah, anxiety came up and then you felt calm happiness. So you worked through some negativity and then you felt happiness. And metal, when you do metal, what happens is on the positive side, it gives you discernment, so you can see where, you can see the truth of things, where somebody's full of crap or where you're full of crap, and it will release sadness. So if you have any sadness, you do the metal set, it will release the sadness. Fire has to do with the heart, and that is anger, not resentment. Resentment is when you're reliving something, and it's a darker form of anger. Anger is in the moment. So anger and impatience is fire. That's the negative side. But the positive side of fire is passion and commitment and taking action. So The fire will open up the heart to be in the moment, to have love in the moment, to take action and be passionate in the moment. And then the water is the kidneys, and the water has to do with trust. And that's why people have bad backs. People who complain of bad backs are people whose kidneys are out of balance because they're not trusting. And that's why people with bad backs constantly complain about not having money, because what is money? Money is nothing more than an arbitrary concept that symbolizes mother's love, the milk of mother, the flowing water of the mother. And so when people complain about money, they always have back problems. And anybody who does have back problems, if you listen to them long enough, at some point they'll start talking about their money problems. It means that they don't trust the universe, and because they project that lack of trust behind them, then they experience a lack of resources or money. So the water is the water set is a great way to bring money into your life. And then the earth is the digestive tract, and the negative side of earth is confusion, not understanding. I don't know how this all works. That's the earth element. And the positive side is comprehension. And there's a sound that we make when we comprehend something. And it's anybody, anywhere in the world, if you make this sound, they will know you have just realized and comprehended something. And that sound is, oh. That is an earth sound. Same as who is an earth sound. But oh is like I comprehend. And no matter where you are in the world, if you go, oh, everybody knows you've just comprehended it. You've just integrated it. Earth integrates. So this is how the 5 elements work, and you've now talked about the wood element, and that explains that feeling. So thanks for sharing that. Let's see, what else? Atham Animus feeling, I kept remembering times that I held a grudge of some kind against people and I came across in the past. I had to let that go. Very good. Yeah, it's fun. It's fun freeing ourselves up. It's now we have a reason. We have a reason to do all of these spiritual practices. There's a practical thing, because the more that we do that, we're actually going to get this heaven on earth reward that's going to manifest for us. Or we'll find out. I mean, I'm choosing to accept it and believe it. And I'm taking that into my interdimensional meditations, where I'm living and expanding into this idea of living in this perfect reality, and I imagine that I'm creating that perfect reality, and it's really becoming a lot of fun and very healing and empowering. So we'll have to talk more about that, some things that I've experienced in my interdimensional meditations. Anyway, thank you for that experience, Atham Animus. Okay, do we have any more questions? It doesn't look like it. Okay, well, that's fine. I thought we accomplished a lot today. I feel good about it. If you have specific questions, if you go back and listen to this and you have a specific question, you want me to go deeper into one of these concepts, because I tend to throw a bunch of stuff at you at once, please let me know. I'll be happy to look at it. The thing I haven't been talking about is the pineal gland and how we need to turn that guy on and connect that to the chakras and the intentions. And I'm going to have to start giving you some. By the way, if you want to do practices that will turn on your pineal gland, they're all right here. The Warrior 90-Day Challenge and the Mao Shan. Mao Shan is possibly the most powerful way to turn on the pineal gland that I know of, because it does. There are people out there sharing meditations to turn on the pineal gland, but the best way for me to describe it is that they're crude. They do all the right things, but it's really forceful. And there's ways to do it that are more subtle and effective. And the most effective that I've found is the Maoshan 5 elements. But same with all of the celestial Qigong, the lightning Qigong, even just Tai Chi. If you go out and do Tai Chi, that'll do it as well. Especially if after you've done Tai Chi for a while or your Qigong, you just sit and imagine energy coming up into your crown chakra. That's the crown chakra. If you feel a bunch of energy here or a bunch of energy here, guess where that's coming from? It's coming directly from your pineal gland. Pineal gland is the electromagnetic antenna receiver transmitter. So it's our gateway to higher dimensions. I'll have to make a video talking about how everything is inside of us. This is one thing I'm finding out. You can travel the universe simply by traveling in your own body. When you travel through the different chakras and the different areas in your own body, you've traveled the entire universe. All of the deities, by the way, every single deity that you can look up and experience, they all exist somewhere in your body. You just have to find them and awaken them. And then when you do that, you can communicate directly with Shiva, with Parvati, with Kali, like have a one-on-one. This is part of ancient Taoist mystic practices where you go inside the body and awaken the deities that are already there, because the entire universe is your body. That's a whole other video, but we'll have to talk about that. Is that it? That's it. Okay, thank you, my friends. I appreciate it so much. I love you all. Thank you for showing up. I didn't climb up anybody's rear end, so I don't have to apologize to the best of my knowledge. Yeah, leave some questions about any of this stuff, because we're starting to get into some really cool spiritual science now. The more that they're explaining these things to me, and I'm finally starting to figure it all out. It's really cool, and I'm really looking forward to sharing more of it with you. Maria just threw a question at me as I'm trying to go out the door. She says, what does it mean when you get a slight headache when you chant Huar? It means that you need to take a break because your pineal gland is getting turned on. By the way, there's a Qigong movement which I need to teach you. I have to get up off my rear end and actually videotape me doing it. But there's a Qigong movement that goes with this chant that will open all that stuff up. So that's good. So if you get a headache, it means stop. It's just like going to the gym. You don't want to overtrain. You go to the gym and you get sore, it's good. It means that you've pushed your muscles beyond their capacity and now it needs to heal. So I'm doing this as well, because as I'm getting deeper into my meditations, I'll have a headache because my pineal gland will be, expanding beyond where it was before. So I make sure that I drink plenty of fluids and I eat and I ground myself, I relax. So that's what it means. So make sure that you do that. Take care of yourself so that, let your body heal. Treat the pineal gland like a muscle. You have to let it rest and then come back and use it. The more you use it, the less likely you are to get a headache. Josh B, how does it work? Look above you. You see Maria's question. What does she did? She wrote the word question in all caps. Why did she do that? So that I won't miss it. So if you want, I've seen your name before, I think. So pay attention. If you want me to see your question, make sure that you do that. It also is good because when you do what I suggest, then I tend to be happy. I tend to get angry when people don't do what I suggest. And you can think whatever you want about that. Josh B says, does Earth have two suns all the time now? No. Look, first off, I don't know everything, and nothing would surprise me. I don't believe the Earth has two suns. I believe that the previous sun, because as you know, please do me a favor and go Google Mandela Effect Sagittarius Arm Milky Way Galaxy. Go type that into Google. You will find out that, and I remember, because I remember learning it in school, I remember learning it multiple times. Our planet used to be, and our solar system used to be in the outer arm of the Sagittarius arm of the Milky Way galaxy, on the very edge of the galaxy. And the sun that we had there was yellow. That's why people make pictures of a yellow sun. It used to be yellow. And it's not yellow anymore, it's white. And that shifted right around 2012, the way I remember it. And that's because, as the Mayans accurately predicted, they specifically said the sun and our planet moved through the black hole in the center of the galaxy and moved to another part of the galaxy. And that's where we are now. And as you know, now we're not in the Sagittarius arm anymore. We're in the Orion arm, halfway into the galaxy. So what I believe happened is that sun is still there, where we left it. And when we moved and took all of the planets and all of the zodiac stars, and we moved to this part of the solar system, this part of the galaxy. And the new sun, which is a twin, but it's white. It's got a different vibration. So I don't think, but I could be wrong, I don't think that we still have two suns. And who are they? And you say, and they just don't allow us. I don't know who they are. I tend to react negatively to that. It sounds like you've got some fear-based, who are they doing it to you? It's better to write out who you mean. But no, I don't think that's what's happening. I think I've explained what I think is happening. That's it. Thanks, guys. Wish you all the best. I look forward to seeing you all very soon. I really want to go deep into this subject of time and experiencing time. So if you have questions about it, go ahead and write them in the comments. And if I like your question, I'll make a video about it. Take care. I'll see you guys all very soon.